Welcome, lords and ladies of the realm. I am, in fact, not dead, and I have not, in fact, despite possibly implying the contrary, lost the password to the channel. Let me get the first obvious thing out of the way. You've seen the video title, and yes, I am aware this is incredibly nerdy and autistic, but I do not care. So let's do this. This is a tier list of the coats of arms of various royal houses of Europe. Some of them are still monarchs, or still have monarchs of various countries to this day. Some of them have been deposed by other monarchies or by a republican form of government. I have primarily based my selection of these houses on a list on Wikipedia of lists of pretenders. Then obviously there's still the current monarchies in Europe, and just some famous dynasties I've included that don't pretend to modern thrones or modern posts as head of state, I suppose, but still are interesting, and I've basically arbitrarily decided those based on what I know about different countries. So, without any further preamble, let's get started with the first house on my list, which is the House of Bernadotte. Oh yeah, and also I've made these little graphics that display the greater coat of arms that the country or the house uses as heads of state, and the dynastic coat of arms and the flags of the country where they either currently or formerly were on the throne. So, we're starting with the House of Bernadotte, which is the current ruling dynasty of the Kingdom of Sweden. About the dynastic coat of arms, I like the symbols on it. I don't know, frankly, what they stand for. I could Google it, but I think we want to keep the nerd levels to a manageable minimum. I just got a Discord notification, which is nice because I actually muted my notifications windows, you bimch. Fucking hell, another one. I just muted my system audio, so that should work that out. Anyway, I like the dynastic coat of arms. It's very simple. You have that weird sort of... I would describe it as a bow with stalks of wheat in it. You have the eagle, which is always an interesting symbol and a very popular symbol on various national emblems and such. And the bridge, which is very nice. I like the colors, blue, yellow, nice. On the general coat of arms, it fits in nicely. We have here the general Swedish coat of arms supported by the lions, with a palanquin on top and the crown and stuff. And yeah, I think this is a solid A-tier coat of arms, I would say. Next up, we have the House of Bourbon-Anjou, which is the current ruling house of the Kingdom of Spain. I've gotta say, not the biggest fan of the dynastic part. It's just, you know, the French... what did they call it? Fleur de lis, and a red border around it. Nobody gave any special consideration to that, I would say. In here we have the general regalia of the Kingdom of Spain. I think this is the flag or the emblem of Castile, along the emblem of Leon, I think. And down here we have the emblem of Granada, united in this coat of arms. I would say the dynastic coat of arms is... what do I have here? C tier. it's not particularly offensive, but it's not good either. And here in this one version of the emblem, we have actually more kingdoms. This is Navarra, I think, and this is Aragon. I don't know why they aren't included in this version of the seal, but there you go. So yeah, I think it's a C tier coat of arms. It's inoffensive. It's also not good. This is a very good C tier fit. Next up, we have the House of Grimaldi, I don't know, which is the current ruling house of Monaco. Very simple dynastic coat of arms, dynastic symbols, very simple flag for Monaco also. I very appreciate these monks on the, full greater palanquin version of the coat of arms. I think this is a solid B tier. There's some cool symbolism. It's pretty simple, but it's not great either. The House of Liechtenstein is, of course, the current ruling dynasty of Liechtenstein. We have here their dynastic coat of arms, the Liechtenstein flag. I think it's the Grand Duchy, isn't it, of Liechtenstein. Either way, here we have the dynastic coat of arms included in the greater coat of arms of Liechtenstein. I mean, the regular coat of arms is just... It feels like when you're in a video game creating a faction, this is the sort of coat of arms that the system might put out as a default for you to make something more interesting of it later. In the greater coat of arms, I don't actually recognize most of these, parts. Aside from here, the emblem, the symbol, the coat of arms of Saxony. So I can't comment on that much either. I appreciate that we have here a coat of arms with, let's call them memories involved, though it is a bit, taken back by the fact that the memories are included on an avian creature. The horn is nice to look at. The eagle is okay, I suppose. I'm a bit confused about this ridge of the eagle, but I think the House of Liechtenstein fits very well in with B or C tier. I'm not entirely decided. I think I'll leave it in B tier, but I might revisit that later, because it also feels very similar to the House of Anjou, aside from the fact that its boring coat of arms isn't derivative of anything that I'm aware of. The House of Nassau-Luxembourg is, of course, the current ruling House of Luxembourg. I only found this version of their dynastic emblem, or coat of arms, which... Oh yeah, I should maybe address that. The sourcing for a lot of these coats of arms is a bit inconsistent, because different regions in Europe have different standards for what is a coat of arms, who or what even has a coat of arms. For instance, I think in Great Britain... I think in Great Britain, only people have coats of arms, never officers. And you can pass on your coat of arms, but let's not get into the weeds of that too deeply. Regarding the coat of arms of the House of Nassau-Luxembourg, simple design, red lion on a blue and white field, and actually just noticed, I didn't notice this earlier, but it seems to include the House of Bourbon-Anjou from earlier in this greater emblem, which I'm not too sure why that is. I mean, I know the Netherlands and by extension Luxembourg, which, you know, was part of the greater Low Countries, as they used to be called, have quite some history with the Spaniards, but I don't know why the recent Spanish dynasty's coat of arms would be included in the Luxembourg coat of arms. So, I don't know, write me a comment if you do know why that is. Regarding the ranking of this is definitely a B tier. I appreciate the red lion on the blue background, and again repeated in the greater coat of arms, so that's nice. Moving on, we have the House of Orange-Nassau, or Oranje, I think is the Dutch pronunciation, Oranje-Nassau. Of course, the dynasty at the head of the Netherlands. Very striking dynastic coat of arms here, with the lion, the crowned lion, holding arrows in its hand and a sword in the other, looking very poised to strike, on a pretty nice blue and yellow background. The repeated in its full in the greater coat of arms, and the motto chez Je maintiendrai. I think my French didn't fail me there, which I actually always found a sort of weird motto for the Netherlands, because I know it's, I think, okay, I should be clear, I think it's the motto of William van Oranje. I think the Dutch call him Willem, but I always found it odd that this country, which is, especially at the time of William, was very concerned with its independence, has as its motto, I will maintain, you know, as a sort of a steward for another power. A bit, I don't know. I think in a time for struggle for independence, you might want to no longer maintain. But I think the House of Orange-Nassau is a solid A tier. I think, I don't know. I might revisit it actually and consider moving it up to A tier. But I'll wait it out for just a bit and see where the rest of all of these here rank. Next up, we have the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, which used to be the... which still is the ruling dynasty of Belgium. Oh dear. What can be said about this dynastic coat of arms? I think at a certain point, when you have enough divisions in your coat of arms, as a noble, you may want to consider sort of pressing the reset button. I mean, how relevant, for example, is is that the Yorkist or the Lancastrian rose? I always get them mixed up. I think it's the Yorkist, but I'm actually not sure. Let me just Google that on my phone while I go on. How relevant, anyway, is the heritage of this War of the Roses emblem to your dynasty nowadays as kings of Belgium? I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But it's tough to go on talking while you're Googling something. But I mean, some of these coats of arms have, some of these divisions, I should say, have further divisions in them. What is that? And it's the Lancastrian rose, so I think I misspoke earlier. Anyway, I'm not a fan of this manifoldedly split design here. And the greater coat of arms with the palanquin and the two lions holding it doesn't bring much more into it, which is why I will give Belgium into C tier. Depending on how the future rankings of these go, I may bump it even further down to D tier, which is, I think, also what I said for these two. I'll just revisit the entire ranking once I'm done. Anyway, moving on, we have the house. This one's a doozy. The House of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg. Oh dear. I think there's a reason why, as you can read up here in the URL, why the normal address for this house is just House of Glucksburg. They sort of save on the Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg. Anyway, this house is the current ruling house of both Norway and Denmark. The dynastic coat of arms is, again, divisions. We have here, I think that one in the center is Glucksburg, and then we have two same ones here. This one I actually like a lot, with the white bear, with the ram, and with the 3 crowns. But in the entirety of the thing, again, it drowns out from everything around it. Now, as it's portrayed here, I actually don't know if that's the Norwegian or the Danish part. But as portrayed here, I'm a big fan of these helmets with the different sort of decorations, with the lion coming from it, with the horns, with all the flags, and with, I don't even know, with the peacock feathers in a hilt. Anyway, I'm a big fan of that. I don't know why most of the dynastic coat of arms isn't reflected in this one, but either way, pretty good coat of arms. B tier, I think. Again, I'll revisit the ranking at the end. Now, this one is a bit of an odd inclusion, because while they call themselves the House of Windsor, they are actually part of the House of Glucksburg, which we have just looked at in Norway and Denmark. But because they are currently heads of state in the United Kingdom and, the Commonwealth, what with Canada and Australia and New Zealand and all of that, I figured it would be stranger to not include them than to do it. Either way, here we have the quote-unquote dynastic coat of arms, which isn't really one. Either way, we have the, I think the 3 lines are the English. Then we have here... Wait a second. Is that the Scottish sigil? Because I don't actually recognize it just a second. I know the Scottish had this sort of motive, but I don't think they colored it this way. Anyway, Ireland. Yes, Northern Ireland is in the United Kingdom. Still a bit odd to include it in your coat of arms when I don't think it's included in the Union flag. And you don't occupy it entirely, but, ignoring that, this is, again, a flag with many splits, but it's saved, I think, by the simplicity of each of the components. And I don't know, this may just be a bias I have because I'm, I see it more often than the other coat of arms. Anyway, this is the sigil of Queen Elizabeth, or the coat of arms, I should say. I actually know a few things about these from my studies. Where should I start? The inscription along here, which I can't actually think of what exactly it says right now, but it's Middle French for shame upon him who thinks bad of it, which is reference to a story where someone alleged that an English king had groped a noblewoman, and supposedly he didn't actually, and thusly, you know, the phrase came about that he who thinks this happened is the bad one. And here we have the unicorn, which is actually the national animal of Scotland, guarded by the lion, which is, you know, a usual widespread monarchy symbol. Again, I appreciate the helmet, the crowned helmet, crowned by another crown on a lion. Very striking coat of arms, I would say. We've seen a lot of things being held by what do I want to say? Lions, but not a lot of unicorns. I really can't tell if it's my bias, but I'm moving it to A tier for now. May bump it down to B tier later. Next up on here, we have the House of Vasa, which isn't the next tab of mine. Do I even have that opened? Because it seems like I don't, so let me just take a look again. There it is. Oh, apparently I'm missing a few tabs here. So let me just correct that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Joke's on you if you thought we were getting closer to the end based on the tabs. You should have looked at the remaining flags down here. Either way, let me look. Here it is. The House of Vasa is the next on the tier list. I just kept the same sigil here because, you know, finding sigils gets complicated either way. I included this because it's a very relevant and famous house to the history of Sweden that I also knew of, which is why I chose to include it here. The House of Vasa, we have the 3 Swedish crowns here, we have these, bundles of wheat again, we have the lions, which are also in the modern sigil. I actually don't think, looking at the sigil here, if I can judge it to be any better or worse than the other one. I suppose it's better in the sense that you only have 3 symbols to contend with, split up in this nice even structure with the crossing things, rather than this thing which is split up 1 to the left and 2 to the right. So it's better in that way, but I think pretty equal, so I leave them beside each other. Either way, moving on. Do I have this? Oh, okay. We have the House of Hohenzollern, which is, of course, the dynasty that ruled over Prussia and later Brandenburg and then Imperial Germany. I think I have that right. Anyway, this is the modern German flag. This is the sigil of the House of Hohenzollern. And this is the Adler, the symbol of the German Empire, which is the second one. Incidentally, if you ever wondered why Germany in the 1930s and 40s was called the third one, that's because the first empire was the Holy Roman Empire of Otto Barbarossa, and the second one was this one, under the Hohenzollern dynasty, the United Germany, which they later sort of, called back to by naming themselves the Third Empire. Regarding the coat of arms, the dynastic coat of arms is, I think, simple to a fault. I like the colors, white, black, very striking combination. I just, how do I put this? I like the coats of arms with symbols a bit more. So, I think House of Hohenzollern is either a B tier or an A tier. I'll leave it in B for now, but depending on how I move things from A tier to S tier later, I may bump that up into A tier. Moving on. I got confused for a second earlier because both of the tabs had the House of Hohenzollern written there, but this is the House of Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, which used to be the ruling house of Romania. Looking at this here, I think it should be noted, this is again a technical part about coats of arms. In most systems, an image isn't actually a coat of arms. A coat of arms is the description that heralds would give of it, and any image is just an example of a coat of arms, basically. You can, as the owner of the coat of arms, you can sort of sanction it as a proper or sanctioned or licensed portrayal of your coat of arms, but the thing itself is actually just the description of what you want images of your coat of arms to look like. And I note this because the lions and the doe here have come out a bit unfortunate, I must say. Just imagine that the lion and the doe was looking much more majestic than it does here. Yeah, think of the description or the relationship between the heraldic description of the coat of arms and the image of the coat of arms. Think of it like a song that you have written versus a recording of the song, or versus a digital copy of the song. So, imagining a version of the coat of arms where the lion was looking nicer and the doe was looking nicer. I still am not a fan of the too many parts, and I think the doe would look striking on its own, and the lion might look striking on its own, but as it stands, I'm not a fan. Regarding how it's been sort of transposed onto this version of the coat of arms, nothing without God is what that says underneath here. We have basically just the Hohenzollern part transposed. I may, it's always possible that I have combined the wrong coats of arms versus the greater coat of arms basically with each other. Do tell me if you notice anywhere that I've done that. But, the problems of this coat of arms are basically just exasperated, that's the word, in this version. I mean, wow. You have a billion, or, 5 coats of arms down here. Then you have 1, 2, 3, sort of 4, either. Let's just give the benefit of the doubt and call it 3, 4, 5, 6 divisions in here. Then you have this one on the outside, which makes it 7. What are you doing? When you get to 7 divisions, I think it's high time to go the Windsor route and make it a bit more simpler. Either way, this coat of arms goes into C tier, I think? Yeah, let's just stick it in C tier for now. Here we have a dynasty very relevant to the French history. It is the House of Bonaparte. And here we have the Imperial. I think this is the Second Empire's symbolism, meaning under Napoleon III, if I'm not wrong. Very simple coat of arms. Very nice. You have the eagle, you have the sort of tear in the ground, very striking gold on blue, and integrated also very nicely into this greater palanquin design with the nice helmet, with the crown, with the finger poses, which I'm sure has some greater meaning that I'm not aware of. A big fan. This is a solid A-tier design. Next up, we have the House of Bagriationi-Mukhrani, I think. That may be how you say it. Which was a great ruling house of Georgia. When I was looking through the list of pretenders, I remember there were this was sort of two dynasties competing with each other. Either way, here we have the dynasty's coat of arms, which is, I think that would be Saint George slaying the dragon? Please tell me if I'm wrong about that. Which is integrated into the greater coat of arms as one of the 5 divisions. Regarding the dynastic coat of arms, big fan. It's simple, it's very recognizable to people familiar with Christianity. Regarding its implementation into this coat of arms, which I think is probably an example of this just being one person's coat of arms, I think it still works kind of well. Because, you have the one part is dynastic, and the rest of the symbolism is integrated into this sort of CV of one of the rulers. So I think B tier for this one. Again, revising all of these at the end. Next up, we have the House of Battenberg ruling over Bulgaria. Dynastic coat of arms. I mean, it meets my criterion of having only a few and sort of division symbols in there with 2. You have the white and black stripes, which, again, very striking color combination. And you have the striped lion, where, again, I think there are probably more elegant renditions of it. Let's pretend that we're dealing with these here. I think the dynastic coat of arms is a B. As to how it's integrated into the Bulgarian coat of arms, I like the symbolism. The red, or the golden lion on red is, I think, a pretty widespread symbol of Bulgaria. And you have the Orthodox cross on another cross-section of it, and then on the inside just the coat of arms. Very simple, very nice. I'm calling it B tier. I can't wait to revisit my rankings at the end. Next up, we have the House of Braganza-Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, which ruled over Brazil and Portugal. I seem to just have included Portugal here, but I think, you know, kind of makes sense. Dynastic coat of arms, very simple, you know, sort of a skew cross, which I'm sure is named after some saint, which I can't think of, with these little 5 dotted shields, very nice, very simple. On the greater coat of arms, you have the same symbol here, along with the border representing the Castilian coat of arms, which is interesting. And then you have, again, the Saxon symbol, which I think we'll run into quite a bit more, and held up by, I think these would be aquatic dragons. Either way, they look very cool. So that instantly bumps it up 1. Ooh, spoiler. Giving it an A tier? Maybe? Yeah, let's just go ahead. Here we have another example of one that's a bit complicated, because this is again the House of Glucksburg, the same dynasty as Norway, as Denmark, and as the United Kingdom. And here we have their coats of arms, their symbolism as rulers of Greece. Now, I already talked about how I'm not a fan of this inner shield. It's frankly getting to be a mess with all the little divisions in here. I do, however, appreciate sort of minimizing that coat of arms and putting the Greek coat of arms around it. And what should I even say about these dudes? Damn. Now, to be entirely fair, there is also a version of the Danish coat of arms that looks like this. Let me just, I don't know, here you go. Google that, Danish coat of arms, Druids. Is it not the Danish? Is it the Norwegian? Huh? Danish Greater coat of arms. There you go. I think the version that I showed earlier, let me just find it here. Yeah, didn't have that. But damn, looking at the Greek one, it's meant to symbolize Hercules, whatever you prefer, and call back to that Danish one. I think it does it very well, very cool. I'll ignore the mess of an emblem that is the normal House of Glucksburg coat of arms and put it in 80, because how can I say no to Hercules? Heracleses. Anyway, wow, this suddenly got very close to home. Here we have the House of Habsburg. The what did they call it? The prison of empires? Or the prison of nations, that was it. Oh dear. Dynastic coat of arms. Should be noted, this is the House of Habsburg-Lorraine, or Habsburg-Lothringen, which is the sort of later branch of the dynasty that continued to rule over Austria and Hungary, and if you look at this greater coat of arms, a bunch of other nations. It's interesting also to note which nations find mention here and which don't. You have Hungary, you have Bohemia, you have Tyrol, you have Styria, you have, I think that's Salzburg, and you don't have a lot of the minor Baltic nations, which is odd. Anyway. How could I be fair about this? I think this coat of arms is pretty cool. its 3 divisions. You have the Lion of Habsburg, you have the sort of eagle band on gold of Lothringen, you have the House of Battenberg, originally a coat of arms of Austria, and yeah, I think they make a pretty good combination. Very serendipitous that the House of Habsburg would fall to a cadet branch of the family that also happened to have this golden red combination. The greater coat of arms. Whew. There's a lot of symbols here, a lot of emblems, which I've criticized a lot of other coats of arms for. But I think they are arranged in a pretty nice to look at way here. But, in the sense of fairness, I will bump this coat of arms down significantly for this, even though I think it looks nicer here. So, acknowledging my biases, the House of Habsburg coat of arms goes into C tier. Next, we have the house... oh dear. The house where I wish I would have looked up a pronunciation guide beforehand. I will endeavor to try calling it Jagiellon? Jagiellon? Please don't tear me apart. Anyway, a very important house for the history of Poland, for the history of Lithuania, and for the history of Hungary. It's the house that led the unification of Poland and Lithuania into the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the personal union, also between Polish, Lithuania and Hungary. The coat of arms is very strikingly simple. You have the cross, golden on blue, very nice. The coat of arms as the greater coat of arms of Poland. Again, it might be the case that this is not the proper one for theirs, because the only symbolism I see is on the emblem here that stands for Lithuania. The Jagiellon emblem is on the shield. Either way, the greater coat of arms looks very nice. You have the Polish eagle and you have the Lithuanian horse rider. Very nice, held up by angels, which also look very good. I think this may be the first S tier. Yes, I think I'm ready to call it. The House of Jagiellon. Jagiellon. Please don't tear me apart too badly. Is the first S tier coat of arms. Here we have again, I couldn't find a sort of vector graphic version of this individually, and I didn't want to just rip this version of it out of here. But here we have the House of... the House of... I once again wish I would have looked up a pronunciation guide before this. House of Karađorđević, which ruled over Serbia, here, and later Yugoslavia. Very nice symbolism on the dynastic coat of arms, and nicely reflected here, the two-headed eagle with this cross, and then alongside that you have what I think is the Croatian, maybe Bosnian coat of arms, and, you know, nice palanquin, nice crown. I think this is an A tier flag, maybe an S when I revise it. Let's put you down there. Next up, this once again, very complicated case, because it's, you know, it doesn't figure too well into the European understanding of how coats of arms work, and I had to sort of, how would you say it? I had to sort of fib a bit to get these two to figure together. this is the old coat of arms of Turkey, and this is a newer coat of arms of Turkey. You will notice this is not necessarily a dynastic coat of arms, but just, you know, to figure it in here better, I've chosen to put the older one here as a representative of the old sigil of the House of Osmanoglu, which ruled over Turkey. Whew. This is a very interesting case, because while the national emblems are pretty sparse around here, there's really a busy ton of symbolism just around here. How would that figure into my standards as previously established? First of all, I appreciate, pretty sure, the first depiction of a gun in one of these. And flowers, nice. You have these hanging emblems, which look very interesting. I'm trying not to be too influenced by how nice this vector graphic of it looks, with, you know, the shading. I struggle. It's definitely a very nice coat of arms, and very different to what we've seen up to this point. I leave it in B tier for now. Again, I may revisit this. Here we have the House of Přemyslit. Again, please note tearing apart, which I've chosen as representative of the Czech Republic of Czechia of Bohemia. Which, by the way, don't confuse those nowadays, because Bohemia is just like half of the modern Czech Republic, of modern Czechia. Either way, symbolism, what can you even say? Very nice lion with the forked tails. You have the crown here, white on red, very nice. And, you know, no palanquin for this one, because the kingdom was disestablished and absorbed into the Habsburg crown too early. But very striking, simple, easy A tier, I would say. The House of Romanov, which again chosen because it's a very interesting dynasty for Russia. What is that sigil, my friends? You have the very impressive griffin with the sword, with the shield, and then you have this. Was there really a need for this? This border with more griffin or lion hands? I'm not a fan. As for the greater coat of arms, it's much like the Habsburg one, just a lot of symbols repeated, a lot of emblems integrated into this eagle. It goes right next to Habsburg, I think that's fair. Here we have the House of Savoy, which is of course the Italian noble dynasty that successfully, with the help of some non-nobles, unified Italy. If you have time, by the way, I really recommend looking at the story of how Italy was unified into a kingdom. It's bonkers. It involves, like, a guy who just... excuse me. Who just... voice is starting to fail me. Decided one day, I'm gonna unify Italy with my friends. And as were told to me by my good friend Matteo, the King of Savoy said to them, you know, if you unify Italy, I will volunteer to be the new king. And didn't actually figure it was gonna work. But then as he went further and further south, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I think his name was Grimaldi. But Grimaldi may have been another guy involved in the entire you know, situation. Either way, as he got further and further south, the King of Savoy went like, oh shit, he's actually doing it! And, you know, was very surprised by his new unified Italian kingdom. Either way, very simple, nice, sleek emblem. Just a white cross on red. Works nicely. Better than some of the other simple ones we've seen, like the Hohenzollern one, which was just, you know, a field. The cross, I think, gives the entire thing more visual interest because it's an actual shape rather than just crisscross. The greater coat of arms, very nice. You have, again, lions, again, a helmet. We've seen this a couple times now. A winged lion on top, the crown on top of the entire thing. And then the symbol again up top in this sort of split flag design. It's definitely, I think, a case for A tier. This may be my bias speaking because I have some significant Italian ancestry. Tell me in the comments if I'm being influenced by that, in your opinion. Now, another dynasty relevant to the Kingdom of Spain. I have chosen the House of Trastamara, which is of Trastamara. I don't know why I said Trastamara there. Trastamara, which is of course the house that through the marriage of Isabella and Fernando, I think, unified the realms of Castile, Leon, Aragon, and later, as you see on the bottom here, Granada, when their Reconquista was finally finished. Very important house to the history of Spain. Very shitty coat of arms. It must be said. I like the Castile-Leon combination that they have going on here. The stripes of the crown of Aragon confuse the entire thing way too much. The I forget what they call this this symbol here of Granada. Confuses the entire thing even further, I think. I like the lions and the eagle at the back, but I really don't like too many divisions in a coat of arms. This will be in C tier. I expect it will go down to D tier as I revisit. Next up, we have the House of Zogu standing in for Albania. A pretty cool dynastic coat of arms, the helmet of Skanderbeg on top. Very cool addition, I think. Look into the history of the Albanian-Ottoman conflict. You know, for such a small country, this army being led by Skanderbeg gave the Ottomans some really proper resistance. Double-headed eagle, black on red. Symbol of Albania to this day because it's so nice. I think this is another S tier actually. Yeah, nothing more to be said. Here we have another dynasty relevant to the French. It is the House of Orléans, or of Bourbon-Orléans. I mean, it's admittedly iconic. The three fleurs-de-lis on the azure, as I think it's called. Azure and fleur-de-lis aurore. It is admittedly very iconic for France. It's very simple too, and it's very nicely presented on this coat of arms. By all the objective standards that I've established up to this point, I think this may qualify for S tier. However, it's France. Yeah. And the final house on our list is, again, a case for I wish I had a pronunciation guide for these. We have the House of Petrović-Njegoš. Did I nail it or did I completely fail here? Either way, formerly the ruling dynasty of Montenegro, dynastic coat of arms. I think the palanquin doesn't figure in here, but I couldn't find an illustration without it. So let's just ignore all this around here. We have an eagle segmented with a head, 2 wings, and another one in the middle. Very interesting. Very cool. I think that more people should use this. And very directly reflected in the greater coat of arms, which seems like another rendition of this one. Here with some stripes on the back, which I don't think hurt it too badly. This may be... I don't know. Is this another split coat of arms? I mean, obviously the thing in the middle doesn't figure into the rest too well, but just the eagle head and wings could theoretically look like it's an intentional design, like from the ground up, not unifying anything else. Either way, Montenegro is, I think, a good candidate for A tier. And having finished here, we can revisit my rankings, starting from the bottom. I think the House of Bourbon-Anjou needs to join its parent dynasty of Bourbon down here, or Bourbon-Orléanais down here, because too much French in this entire endeavor. The House of Glucksburg, now that's the House of Liechtenstein. I think this is a case for leaving it in C tier. There's very many divisions here, but not as much as some people. Belgium, right to the bottom. Romania with, what was it? It was Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen. I think rests comfortably here. Same with Habsburg, same with Romanov. Trastamara. What should I do with Trastamara? I think I'll join it with the modern Spanish dynasty. Way too many divisions, and that's like my best consistent standard I've applied through here. The House of Grimaldi, I think? Grimaldi? I don't know. I think rests comfortably here. There's a case to move it up because it looks kind of similar to the Greek one, but I appreciate the blue cross of Greece better than this checkered pattern, and the Heracles better than the monks, even though they have swords, which is very cool. Here we have the House of Luxembourg, wasn't it? Yes. Or Nassau-Luxembourg, actually. Again, lots of divisions here, but they work together well. I think I'll leave it in B, because the dynastic coat of arms is pretty cool. House of Glucksburg. I could have thought to bump it down to C tier, but I think the Danish coat of arms, which I showed earlier, with the druids on it, saves it from that fate. The House of Hohenzollern, I think, also rests comfortably here. Same with the Georgian house, whose name was, let me just look at my list, Bagriationi-Mukhrani, I think. The Bulgarian house, which was Battenberg, pretty well kept here. Same with Turkey. The Swedish dynasties, both Vasa as well as, what was the other one? Bernadotte. Yes, good cases here. Maybe a case for moving Vasa down for the divisions in it. Yeah, I think I'll do that actually. Now come on, Netherlands. Pretty comfortable here. The British, yes. Napoleon is kind of French, but also kind of Italian. I'll let him remain here. Portugal. I'm actually considering moving Portugal up a rank because of the bitchin' dragons, which fit very well with the simple and cool dynastic coat of arms. But I think the dynastic coat of arms that I have here should actually, like it is here, include half of the Saxon one. I'll leave it an 8 here. You know, be angry at me in the comments if you want to. I've made my case for Greece. I think if you have Hercules twice on your coat of arms, holding up your cool blue cross, even though the dynastic part is a bit of a mess, you can remain an 8 here. Serbian Yugoslavia. I'm considering moving it up to S tier. I have to say, there's a lot more Slavic nations in S tier than I was anticipating. But I guess the Slavs just make very cool coats of arms. Let me actually take a look at it again for the first time. This one is really cool. This one is a bit less cool. Screw it. Let's just move it up to maintain the Slavic theme at the top. Same with Bohemia, actually. Cool, red lion on red. White lion on red. Iconic, can stay up there. And you know what? Montenegro. Screw it. Join your Slavic brothers. Or Balkan brothers. I don't know if... I don't know how much Montenegro appreciates the... either, actually, of these labels. But, you know... There's a clear theme here for the best coats of arms, which I didn't anticipate happening. And I'm actually now tempted to move the House of Vasa down into C tier for absolutely no other reason than to, you know, maintain a single line for each rank. But I think the entire challenge, in and of itself, is already autistic enough. Now, before I sign off on this video, I have one more coat of arms to show you. Let me just find it on my PC, because I foolishly did not prepare this, but as I was working on assembling these little, you know, these little combined images of flags and coats of arms and dynastic coats of arms and kingdom coats of arms, I figured if I was going to criticize other countries' coats of arms, I maybe should expose myself to the same criticism. Which is why I present to you the coat of arms of Seetor for your roasting, for your consideration. I just learned to make vector graphics to make this. I was very confident in it earlier, but I'm suddenly getting self-conscious about it. I mean, no two ways about it. Let me present to you the coat of arms of Seetor. We have my Seetor S, yellow on purple, classic color combination on top, and on the bottom we have the red fist holding the hammer on a golden background or yellow background, symbolizing, solidarity in the struggle for unionization of workers and workers' rights generally. And on the lower right, we have the scroll with the feather golden on a different kind of purple. Because originally, I'll actually show you that. Originally, I had it in green and had a different design for the scroll, but I thought these three clashed too badly, which is why I made this. Different kind of purple instead, symbolizing scholarship and language and my interests in that. I actually really like this design. I hope you'll like it too. Feel free to absolutely roast me if you do not. I look forward to the comments. I actually consider making it my YouTube channel profile picture instead of the current one, but I still think the current one is more striking for that particular purpose. But I did make it my Discord channel's symbol or picture, so if you want to join that, it's called The Realm. And if you want to join The Realm generally, check out the links in the description below. There's my Twitter, there's my Patreon, and there's my Discord. And I think I'm done. I hope you appreciated this little excursion into autism, as one of my Discord members put it. And do tell me if you appreciated this tier list video generally. I might make a, different ones with different themes in the future. And until next time, I will see you around.